Let's roll, bud.
In this neighborhood is a house where souls never rest. You're invited to share their secrets.
I've been waiting for you boys.
You're invited to share their tales.
Unless, of course, you're scared.
Tales of madness. Of revenge.
The dolls don't want you there. They want reparation.
Of horror.
He thinks he needs to kill the monster.
Now, your most terrifying nightmare and your most frightening reality are about to meet. On the streets.
Man, this is a trip, homie. I don't need nothing from no house of dead folks, okay?
Death, it comes in many strange packages.
The producer of Menace to Society and executive producer Spike Lee will take you to the outer limits of the inner city.
Welcome to hell.
Tales from the hood. Chew. Or be chewed.
Hey, man, I don't need to be hearing this, man.
Written and produced by Darren Scott. Written and directed by Rusty Cundieff.
Slang, 91, hit me live. You know what time it is. Blessed with
So we're back. Thank you for coming on, Leah.
Thank you for having me, Rob.
Thank you for being back on Let's Watch It Again. This is the first time in a little while. I'll just set the stage for folks that have been following along. The last movie that I did on this particular podcast was Kill Bill Volume 1. And it was the anniversary year of that. So this is 2 years ago. And this is sort of a special Halloween treat. And we are doing Tales from the Hood.
Yeah.
And,
Black horror classic.
100%. And it's one of those things where it's the 30th anniversary. It came out May 1995 is what I saw. I did see 94 at one point, but I was like, I'm going to go with 95.
Yeah, probably 94 could be if it like had a festival premiere and they showed it prematurely. But yeah, I think the later one would probably be the wide theatrical release.
Wide theatrical. That's what I like to call myself, the wide theatrical.
Yeah.
So upon rewatching it, I hadn't seen it in a couple of years. And, there's a few things I want to set the stage with, just going off. I didn't know that like one of the production companies was like 40 Acres and a Mule. I should have known that, but I didn't initially. I was like, hold up. You know how when you're watching something that you've seen before and several times, that when you're watching it more from a critical lens or watching it for notes and research, you see things suddenly.
Yeah. The details, the devil in the details pops out.
I like what you did. I like what you did. See, look at this foreshadowing. See, this is why you're the right person for this one. So, going to this movie, I'll give sort of the details, and I'm already going to have a request for you, but we'll get there. So, written and directed by Rusty Cundieff, and it has just some of the folks that pop up. You got Clarence Williams III, you got David Allen Grier, you got Corbin Burnson, Rosalind Cash, a bevy of other folks, but those are just a few. It's kind of got this, because it's broken up in different stories and anthology sort of vibe. It's like several folks that you got Guy Torrey pop up. You have Caffeine. I call him by his rap name. I call him by his rap name. So this film had a $6 million budget. It made almost 11.8. And it came out against, this is where I got really into the minutia. Do you remember what it came out against?
No, 95. No. May 95.
These are some good ones. Casper.
Oh, man. Casper is classic, though.
Braveheart.
Oh, no.
And Johnny Mnemonic.
No.
And Johnny Mnemonic.
Wow. Okay. Well, they had it cornered, really. There was kind of no losing on that release weekend.
So this is where I'm going to need your expertise here. Just so I have sort of what I found as sort of the synopsis of the film, right? but I want you to put your critical like hat on, this great mane of hair that you have, and tell me, does this accurately depict from what you've watched? So, Tales from the Hood. This is sort of a synopsis. A funeral director tells 4 strange tales with an African-American focus to 3 drug dealers he traps in his place of business.
I mean, you should have been recording for way back when like around when Tales from the Hood would have come out. The movie line, movie phone, is that what it was called?
Yeah.
When you called in for showtimes? Yeah. You have an amazing voice for that. Or maybe you could revamp the mortician, because that too. I'm sorry. Does that in a very stiff way, but Tales from the Hood is a lot funnier and a lot campier than that synopsis would make it seem. If you drain all the lifeblood from it.
It's very campy. And so one of the things in it definitely touches on it almost from a purely informational standpoint. So your campiness, as you touched on, is just not in there. I mean, we start off with some of the funniest dialogue in that intro of "Welcome to the Mortuary," the prologue, and I mean the names of the drug dealers are ridiculous to me. Stack, Ball, and Bulldog.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm terrible with names, and sometimes I'm like, is this because I'm terrible with names, or is it because the names are ridiculous and they like don't register as names to me? But Mr. Sims, he sticks around. He definitely pops out.
100%, and with 2 M's on Sims. So as we're in the mortuary, and I mean, his visual is the meme for this movie as we carry it 30 years later. Like, any artwork I've seen around this film, not the sequels, we'll talk about that probably, but it's him, it's Mr. Sims. So we start off with this sort of introductory story. Each one has a title for it, like a chapter, if you will. So this first one is called Rogue Cop Revelation. Could you kind of summarize that, if you will? Give us a little bit of that.
So the first tale, Rogue Cop Revelation, is it's sort of spiritually reminiscent of Candyman. So basically, we're introduced to Martin Morehouse, is his name, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, who is an activist and politician, and we are meeting him after he's been pulled over by a bunch of cops, and it's a scene of police brutality takes place. And what sort of twists in the scene is that one of the cops is also Black. And so we're looking at like the dynamic of it's really narrated through his perspective. So we're really looking at the problem of police brutality through the lens of someone who is both inside and outside.
Yeah.
So retribution occurs. A year passes. Clarence, who's the Black cop, he is haunted by what takes place that night. He has left the force, and Morehouse starts to call to him in his dreams, yes. Almost like a Haynes, and then justice takes place.
Now let me ask you something, huh? You getting off on destroying good cops' lives? You big mouth goddamn son of a bitch.
I've got nothing against good cops.
You what?
I said I've got nothing against good cops, but I will see low-life scum like you run out of the department.
This is great, and I love it keys in on it. It sets it because the sort of stage of the film is even going back just a skosh of sort of the mid-90s gangbanger sort of West Coast thing, and then we get to sort of this story, which is familiar, and it's almost he's not great, but it's almost the Chappelle bit of sprinkle some crack on him. It's like, hey, we're gonna put Morehouse in this car and have like drugs in his system. It's like, so this is the death, and And yeah, I wrote this down too. I was like, Daniel Robitaille. I absolutely wrote that
Yes.
down. And for a second, I feel a little bad for Clarence, but then ACAB. So sorry, too little, too late. Which
I think that there's value. So, well, just talking about like the project of the film overall, like
Sure.
because it's sort of like three tales and then the frame story.
Mm-hmm.
And the frame story, think the technical word for that is wraparound. Like I think that's what they refer to it in like people who are really into anthologies or who make anthologies. But yeah, this is it's really concerned in the sort of frame story with this idea of being scared straight. And so these are cautionary tales, they're morality tales. And so I think that was like a very intentional choice to make Clarence the center of this, where it's like we see the situation you're in of like this choice of, how to earn a quote unquote honest living, but then where is the honesty in that? And like, what do you have to sacrifice in order to, I don't know, in order to achieve this sort of vision of the American dream that involves like the middle class, which is, non-existent anymore. This is very much so like a product of its time. But yeah, it's also definitely intersecting like hip hop, like the specific era for hip hop and horrorcore being like the soundtrack is fucking awesome. So yeah, I think all of those tensions are like very, very present in that first story about like justice, and I think masculinity is a big part of it. Like the bonding that happens like between the cops and like the sense of themselves when you start like really doing close readings and paying like very, very, very close attention to it. Yeah, it's very, very critical of all of that positioning.
Because definitely with the cops, it had a hierarchy thing going, and especially the one dude, the mustached cop, I'll say.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, get over there. I just finished urinating on his grave, so you do it too. And it's just like, all right.
It's right, and it's so I thought that detail was like the like perversity of it. It's just like I think that the sort of sugar-coated euphemistic way of putting it is like peer pressure, but that doesn't actually, we don't leave that behind in childhood, right? Like that is so much a part of like social bonding as adults, is like you still have these sort of who has power, who has dominance in the room. And in this case, it's a matter of like, this affects your life.
Yeah.
Like this dude is violent and vindictive, and we know, everyone knows this about him. But still, like, what deal with the devil are you making? What is better at the end of the tale, after they're all dead. I love the confrontation between Morehouse's, I don't think of him as a ghost. I think that he's like a haint, like pretty in like the truest definition or distinction. There's a confrontation between Morehouse and Clarence asks him, "Are you satisfied, brother?" And he's like, he just throws it back at him and says something like, "Where were you when I needed you, brother?"
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole thing, right?
Yes, cut to him institutionalized, and I love that it was a little like haint stank on it, if you will. When he said brother, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Even in the undead or the afterworld, it's just like, nah, bro, this ain't gonna work. You did that, and that's great. And the use of the street art or what have you, again, you keyed in on the Candyman thing again. I kind of just saw it sitting there.
Yeah, that's such an interesting motif and like thread through all of the tales. You see how like art and portraiture in particular hold like real power. And that's one of the, I think, like main through lines through the whole film. All of the tales sort of contend with it in different ways, but it's like one of the main preoccupations of the film.
For sure. So I'm going to save these for later. I had a couple questions, but I'm going to hold on to that and come back to that because I think it makes sense to cover the other tales and then go back into that. But one quick observation I'll share before I move into the second tale is two observations. One, I like that in the prologue, a few things were keyed in on of, I think it was Guy Torry's character, or no, sorry, was it Joe Torry? Joe Torry. So it's like, I ain't really with this funeral home, which I was like, funny. I was like, black people don't like funeral homes. And I ain't really messing with the dead. I was like, that's another one right there that's just sitting there. And lastly, I'll say like, oh, so caffeine, has words, things to say. He's not getting stomped out like in every other movie I've seen him in.
I love the refried beans joke. Like something being twice dead. How you kill something that's already dead? It's like refried beans.
Yeah.
The fuck came up with like?
Right.
How you gonna refry some beans? For the deliciousness,
It's good. It's good. So here's the next one, which is titled the next tale, because we're going further in as far as the wraparound. We're going further, into looking at another casket. Each one of these tales is set up with a casket, while the drug dealers are there looking for the aforementioned shit. I can't put the same stamp on. So this is called "Boys Do Get Bruised," and this is sort of a tale where it's a young boy in the class. He has these bruises. It looks like he's like having issues adjusting to like this new school or what have you, but it turns out he's probably getting bruises from at home. And we later learn that it's David Allen Grier. That's as I called him, Dark Grier, by the way. Whenever I see someone who's generally known for comedy and I see them doing something else, it's like, this is Dark Grier right here. This is
the shadow self.
Yeah. And it's sort of like, I think it keys in on a couple of things. Like, I know for me and even like my nephew, right? Like, adjusting. I used to get picked on and bullied at school. So I thought initially it was going to be that. And it's like, oh, it's a new school. And it's like, being a new kid stinks. But then it turns out it's not that. It's something a bit more supernatural, I guess, going on here through art again.
It's I really love this tale because I'm really interested in monsters, and I think that it's kind of like a perfect demonstration of the subjectivity and the complication of like how you constitute a monster. Yeah. And it's that question of like the supernatural at play. To me, this is maybe because they're all pretty grounded in like reality and the real, but this one is, I guess it's part of its introduction, is like that question of like what is perception and what is reality and how to sort of delineate them. And then having a child protagonist where, there's like all the superstition that like children are more sensitive to the paranormal because they're closer to the veil, they're newer on Earth, and so they're just like more sensitive to that. I think the same is sort of true with poetry and with like the sort of figurative, metaphysical, metaphorical ways that things that are not real can still be real in reality, like in material reality. So he's drawing at school these images of monsters that he's saying this is who is leaving the bruises on him. And his teacher doesn't really understand because, he's an adult and monsters aren't real, right? But that doesn't mean that the monster isn't real. Right. It doesn't mean that it's in his imagination, because as we learn, the monster is very much so real. Is one of my favorite scenes in the entire film is when is when the monster is entering the room and it's casting the shadow of the monster, and then it's just not Grier. and it's not a just, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, so then it calls into question, like, how do we conceive of a monster? And then the next question, how do you like solve the problem of the monster? Like, how do you deal with the presence of the monster once you've acknowledged that there's a monster in your midst?
You treat him like a bad draft, and you.
So this was one of the details in this rewatch that I hadn't thought about this before, but it's so connected to, I think that this is like a certain, for the folks who are into astrology, this is like a common practice about like, with like banishing or like protection, is this idea of like writing something down, putting something into paper, and then burning it or destroying it in some way to sort of like banish it. And seeing that as the survival strategy, it really goes back to that general sort of overarching preoccupation about like the power of art to, in this case, vanquish monsters.
Absolutely. So it's a couple of observations that I made just because of the way my brain works. So there's a scene earlier when like that first, they're like asking him about the bruises and what happened. I was like, there's an in living color scene. There's a universe where this is fully just in living color, where the nurse is uncredited, but she was one of the players on the living color. So.
Oh, shit.
So you have her and you have David Alan Grier in this sketch. I was like, there's a universe, right? Where this could go a completely comedic bent, and it just doesn't go there. It just is still just dark. But Nurse Parchman is Takia. What is her name? Takia Crystal Kama. She was on In Living Color, one of the original players for all 4 years.
Shit, did not catch that. That's damn. It could almost be like a Halloween episode, like a Scary Shadow Halloween episode. Everyone's like the worst version of themselves.
We're off this week. Let's see. I wrote this down because I thought it was funny. It's because, you gotta, with, sort of stories like this that, it's a kid getting beat up is bad. And the David Alan Grier's character, he's not like slapping people. He's going full punch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The violence in this movie is like, I thought about this a lot. It's interesting because it is pretty brutal, but it's not, it doesn't look realistic.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. I think it strikes kind of like a perfect balance of the two. If you're going to deal with these themes and these subject matters that are really intense and really discomforting, I think is the word. Then the sort of balancing that out with not having it like look so grotesque.
Right.
But no, he like takes his belt off and he is like going at, like it's not casual violence. It's pretty extreme.
And I mean, it's an equal opportunity too. I mean, because initially you're like, oh, you're a version of a coward. You're going to pick on a kid and oh no, you beating up the teacher as well. You kicked him into a stove. I was like, his light skinned dreads went flying. I was like, this is. But it's a part in there where his response to being drawn, I felt like, is he an art critic? Because he got really offended. He's like, you drawing people. I was like, oh, man. He's like, you're really going to get it. I was like, he doesn't like his rendering.
Well, this is, I think that may have been a little bit of like a throwback superstition when about like the fear of photography. Do you know about this when photography was developed? Okay, so there was a belief when film cameras and like the practice of photography, as that was all being developed throughout the 19th century, there was a belief and a superstition that they would steal your soul, that the image, every time an image is captured, that it steals part of your soul. So there's kind of a like it's sort of talking back to that
Yeah.
thought. Maybe I might just be reading super
No.
into
That's
things too.
I'll just give you these two sort of like time things. I think you might find interesting. So David Allen Grier, and I wrote this time down, Dark Grier, if you will, enters the chat at minute 43. It goes full body horror at minute 48. So he's kind of in it for like 5 minutes. And he gets all twisty.
He ends up like he looks like a plate of scrambled eggs.
He does.
It's incredible. I'm just, practical effects people, like nothing beats it. That's wild. That's wild. So impactful.
Yeah.
And in that time.
In just a minimal sort of runtime, because the movie, all in, the movie probably sans credits is probably 88 minutes. So getting
it's tight. It's tight. It's got a super it has a super tight script though. Like it's one of those, it's a real like poem of a film. Like it's really, really, really tight. Get Out is like that too. Like the script is chiseled. It's chiseled. There's like no everything is doing something. Everything is like working towards its end, which I love. Very satisfying to the poet in me.
So two other things. One, I like the touch of the monster tattoo in his forearm. I like when we get to see that. And I say, yeah, they're really getting it across. Sure, yeah. And I just like at a point where what he said something like just wild to I'm blanking on the name. What do we got? What's the name? Paula Jai Parker. He says something wild. David Allen character says something wild to her, like, I'll kill you, bitch, or something like that. I don't know what it was, but she squashes his face in like a bug, which is great. But I love the sort of Rusty Cundieff, who earlier was like, the teacher earlier was like, maybe you just got weak bones. I don't know. It's like, so you know what we got to do, right? It's like, just accept that we're about to torch this dude. I just thought like, oh, no, we're here. We're here now. We see it. We're not doing, but what if? No. This is here.
Well, they had done the what if beforehand. It was so much like, I don't even know. I think it might be part of like protocol now that like you don't do something like that. You don't go and like seek out the parents and like go to a student's house now because you could potentially be putting them in danger if you suspect domestic violence is at play, which like all the telltale signs. In fact, after the first one, he gets when Walter gets beaten up on the playground and he's at like the nurse's office. The teacher asks if he's okay, and the nurse responds like, yeah, he's got a thick head. And it's like cheeky and sweet, but it's also like, that like you feel for the child in the scenario when it's like, and that's kind of the, I don't know, the heart of the whole second tale is that kind of like this poor kid, and he's so vulnerable, and we see him like in his bed crying at night, and like, the monster at his door, and he's just like helpless. And then, when he enters and he's like cowering in the corner, I think that kind of did an excellent job evoking Black children as children, truly as a child, because that's a difficult thing for a lot of people. Like there's that tendency to not see Black children as children, or to project strength or like age or maturity onto them that they don't necessarily have. Sure. And so I think that he does a really incredible job of keeping Walter soft and young, and then empowering him in this kind of absolutist way where it's like, all right, everyone's like made the excuses and like tempered the situation, but now we're going to solve this problem. Now he's going splat.
Yeah.
And no one needs to know about it.
Yeah, let's give. Nobody's looking for him. He sucked. So we have the second wraparound here, back at Shea Sims, at Sims' funeral home, and we get the Cole's burnt and mangled corpse, because that's David Alan Grier's character, is revealed to be inside the coffin. They close the casket, the gangsters, and then we get a doll, which is where I start to kind of get a little annoyed and a little bugged out. I don't really bang with the dolls, so.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in this next part, where we get to the third tale, which little on the nose, but also I like alliteration. This is called KKK Comeuppance. That's the name of this particular one.
This doll is a place for the soul to survive until it can move on.
Man, you for real?
Yes!
We said it was campy. It's campy.
It is. And could you give us sort of like your synopsis?
My synopsis. A former Klansman is running for governor, and he has moved into the main house of a former plantation, and the community is outraged because a massacre had occurred there during the end of the Civil War, as he informs us. And the souls can no longer rest with his presence there. The details of it, we meet the Klansman governor with his media strategist, who is also a black man.
Willis.
Yeah, so much like the first segment, the first tale, coonery is punished in Cundieff's universe.
Great. This is great. Thank you.
There's no making it out.
Wild coonery, because I believe the word he says to Corbin Bernstein's Duke Metger is, "Yeah, I'm going to soften the edges." I was like, what? he was a Grand Dragon or something. What are you saying?
Yes, and then the edges are like, a blade.
Edges of the steps.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So in this, with the house, within the main house, is a portrait of a conjure woman who purportedly, after the massacres took place and after the house was abandoned, that the legend, the story goes that she came in and she transferred the souls of the enslaved people who had died there into these dolls. And so the local community story is that, that this house is not, I don't know if I would call it a haunting, but it's possessed sort of by the spirits and the souls of the people who died there. So yeah, the Klansman doesn't learn the first time, and so he has to get his comeuppance, and it's really, really satisfying to watch.
I'll just throw this in there. You did a great job giving us that summary there. I wrote a few things down because like while my dad back in the day, he used to traumatize me and my brother. Like, I say that facetiously, with like Puppet Master. He's like, "Oh, we're going to watch it." Like, why are we doing this? So when this came out, not too long after that, I'm like,
no.
And they're black and they're like eating this dude. I was like, yo, come on. Can we not? Can we say we did, but we don't? So
I kind of love it. And I think that I don't think that this could have been done without the dolls. I think the dolls are like critical to it because there's kind of a double standard about uses of violence in horror, right? And like where and who sort of gets to hand out really violent retribution. And there's you don't see a lot of Black folks doing incredible violence to white folks, but we do see a lot of the opposite. But I think there's really significant and relevant reasons for this, right? Like there's art is powerful, and because it's powerful, it can also be dangerous. And so I think the element of the dolls creates, it's both very campy and creates an element of distance and like fabrication and artificiality, and also just like absurdism. Like it's just kind of ridiculous. It's a ridiculous image, like all these dolls descending on this man and then like devouring him. But it's still, the point is still made. Does that make sense?
It does. And I know that kind of, as far as the devouring piece, I know that it pops up on somebody's like radar of a theme that they're just very interested. I don't know who it could be though.
There's no one here who's just totally obsessed with with devouring monsters.
I'll just throw these different things in there. I just thought as observations, but I think you kind of did most of the heavy lifting there. So shout out to you. Let's see. I wrote, "Watch your step, Mr. Willis." Up. That's a rap and rhyme with Guinevere Smith. I literally wrote this. I rewound it in short.
So then you gotta do what you gotta do. You know, some moments.
Art Evans, who plays Eli, and one of the folks that are like protesting his, Metcalf's old. I was like, why you got this Smokey the Bear hat on? You're not supposed to be in this movie. I think you were late for something else, and they were like, we got to get you in here. I was like, he looks like Smokey the Bear. I thought some of the stuff with Duke, and I kept calling him David Duke Metker, by the way, was very timely. Is reminiscent of some of the stuff that we see in the North and sort of like public media. And I always look at the South being a little scarier. I feel like it just goes down there. But one, timely. The whole this particular story timely because the state of politics. We're just letting sort of anyone with any background that's very dark and very like crappy, like a KKK person or even Nazis, just go into running our country. I like that his slogan was an original American. I was like, oh,
yeah. It's almost like this stuff is old and not new or edgy in any kind of a way. It's just the same old story. They've been telling the same story for like 3 centuries, 4 centuries.
So
we've disproved it. We had an entire, like, this little thing called the Enlightenment, and the result of all the science came out that they were wrong.
Science? Nah. So I wrote down this because I enjoy this. I do this thing because I've seen enough Tyler Perry movies. I'm always looking for wigs. I'm always doing a wig check.
Oh my God.
Corbin Bernsen's been notoriously like bald and for a while. And I was like, when they pull him apart and devour him or what have you, if that wig doesn't come off, I'm going to be disappointed. And I was like, come on, the wig moves. And it doesn't. It's there. It's flopping around, but it's there.
It would have been such a great moment. Bye, wig.
And I'll say this, the thing with Metker, he really needed Rhodey in that he was useless. Even post literally the speech that he was giving him, don't call black people spooks. That was essentially what the speech was. He fumbled it the very next day. And he's like, spooky reporters like you. I was like, what? What William S. Burroughs? And then the other thing I thought was interesting as far as history goes, when he gets the first doll and he mounts him to the dartboard, the first thing he's going for is like, I'm going to shoot your nigga balls off or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that thing. Just, we're going to go genitalia first. I was like, that's the thing. And then I thought about it. I was like, also, you're not good at this either. You're just bad at whatever you do, even the violence you're bad at.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I love about the white villains in Tales from the Hood is how preposterous they are. and how inept they are. And I think that, like you said, is very, timely. We're seeing all of this happen in lifetime. These people are not smart.
Yes.
They're not smart. And it's kind of the same thing as, in the second tale, that image of like the shadow of the monster on the wall, and then it's just a man. We tend to sort of blow evil up into like something incomprehensible and like so completely other. But the reality is that it's like so banal and so boring and so self-evident and really ridiculous. There are, one of the things I do appreciate is like the sort of subtle nods to how psychosexual all this stuff is too. Like racism is like a psychosexual kind of dysfunction. And when you really get into any kind of like primary sourced historical analysis of chattel slavery, then you really, what becomes unignorable is like the perversity of it. And so like, yeah, these kinds of things, it's easy to joke about and they'll land as jokes and you can really sort of like soften it and make it funny, but there's still definitely like a weight of some really bizarre historical stuff that is in actuality outside of like comprehension. For
sure. Last thing that I'll chime in on before moving into the next part of the wraparound is just in terms of satisfaction. You touched on this earlier as far as like, this is just great. This when the puppets were all out of the picture and his sort of face of realization, I was like, bye. You're gonna flip, homie.
Comeuppance.
Yeah, I was like, this is great. This is great.
Yeah, when the Conjure Woman, when she like materializes out of the portrait and then materializes in the room, I'm just like, get him, man. Just get him. Love ya.
So here's the wraparound. Just, the dealers have grown impatient. And we're getting to the end of things. We're getting towards that end portion. Mm-hmm. And there's one more story that he wants to share with them. It's about a person that they appear to know of. We're going to get a little bit few more details on that in the fourth story called Hardcore Convert. Could you help us out?
Yo, man, you ain't finna believe this, man. Man, this shit is a trip, homie.
You knew him?
Sure did.
We didn't know him. He was just a nigga we seen around.
Interesting. I didn't know the titles of them beforehand. That's an interesting title for it. So basically this is kind of where it gets a little bit meta, where we're in the tale that is the frame story, but we don't necessarily know it at this point in time. So this dude is like ostensibly also what they're insinuating is a drug dealer, but it's really a tale about gang violence, right? So he like feels like someone did him dirty, so he goes and he shoots someone, and then he gets shot and finds himself incarcerated. And while imprisoned, he's approached by a scientist, a doctor, to participate in a behavioral modification program that is like he might be able to like get out early if he participates in this program. So there's like a history of this, right? Again, a history being conjured of experimentation via incarceration. So they bring him to this like haunted tower. It's like the opening shots of like House on Haunted Hill is kind of where they're bringing him. It's very ominous. It's a dark and stormy night. Places like got dungeons. I don't want to be anywhere where there's dungeons. So yeah, first they put him in a dungeon-esque cell next to a white supremacist who basically thanks him for doing his job for him for the act of killing other Black folks. And so that there's that confrontation. And then they get into this very kind of anytime there's like scientific experimentation going on, it's sort of it's reminiscent, it recalls Frankenstein, but this I think is more Clockwork Orange because of the method of modification. So they basically like strap him down and force him to watch a sequence of different acts of violence against Black people. So the way that this is cut is like gang violence cut with imagery of actual lynchings. Yeah. Earlier in the first tale, I think we forgot to mention that as the beating is happening, Strange Fruits is playing over. So there's a very intentional attempt to draw these lines of comparisons between the violence that we inflict on each other and the violence that has been inflicted upon us, and to sort of confront the legacy of that. And he's sort of being taunted by the scientist of like, what's the matter, Jerome? You don't like images of Black people suffering, something to that effect. And then they put him into a sensory deprivation chamber. And in this, he's confronted with like the spirits and the ghosts of the people that he himself has killed. And it starts with them, it's sort of the ripple effect of that violence kind of like spans out, and all of these other ghosts appear who are also victims in one way or another of this kind of violence. And it's really about, it's kind of a terrifying scene, not so much in a way that's hard to articulate. I've been trying to figure out how to describe this, but when you see someone who is refusing to see themselves, mm-hmm. and God, Cundieff did such an incredible job of like really forcing this confrontation. Yeah. And there's like the use of repetition, the strobing lights throughout it is also has this kind of like being stuck in time, almost like being stuck in a time loop. And that's really what it's like in the dialogue. What they're concerned with is like, are you going to break this cycle? Are you going to end this nightmare? You have to take accountability. You have to take responsibility for the harm that you've caused. You have to surrender to this accountability, to the fact that you have to care about someone other than yourself. You have to care about your community.
What's up, Crazy K? Remember me?
Tracy?
Yeah, man. What's up? How come we ain't talked in a long time? That's right. You killed my ass. Ain't that a bitch? I got one question for you, Crazy K. Why? Why?
You was coming up short all the time, man. I couldn't just let you rip me off, nigga.
You know us.
That shit was wrong, man.
Just drove by and started blasting.
That shit was wrong, man.
We ain't even the ones that kept your homie.
That shit was really wrong, G.
Yeah, I think with the repetition piece and the, I just remember one of the guys of the two dudes that pop up that he smoked and it wasn't even them. He's like, it's messed up, man. It's messed up. He's kept saying that same thing, or even that notion of kind of not accepting, like even when the girl pops up who caught a stray and he was, oh, bullets don't have names on it. It's like, you killed a person that had nothing to do with whatever your little beef was. And
yeah, and he's like, she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's like, but she's dead.
yeah, she's gone. And, and he's played by Crazy K, or which I thought was an issue. Jerome Crazy K Johns. I was like, it should be Crazy J, but it doesn't matter. Played by Lamont Bentley, who I don't care. You're Hakeem from Moesha. I was looking at, I was like, this also a bad wig, by the way. So I was like, whatever they sprayed on your head to put that K in there, burns. When they shaved him for this, because this is like over a 4-year period, which I didn't really gather, by the way, with Dr. Cushing. They say it's a 4-year period that he's in prison.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize that at all.
Same. So you had a good barber to keep that K popping before they shaved him. But, Rosalind Cash, she does really well in this. I like her a lot in this movie. Usually I don't really go for that sort of role. I think it's a little like, I don't know, it's a certain, I was like, you're in the Matrix, right? Like, I feel like you know more than me. I was getting that vibe, and it's like, no, she's right about, like, you got to break this cycle. Or the line that you had mentioned, do you don't like seeing black people die? You don't like this. You're having a hard time with it. And it's like, yes, you're being an avatar for someone like me. That's like, yo, you're killing people. What are you doing? And the thing that you touched on, I actually wrote this. I wrote this. Frankenstein asked during the experiment, and it said it was a bit of Clockwork Orange. That's literally what I wrote. So yeah,
the references are what they are.
Let's see. The racist inmate was a caricature, by the way. I was just like, you're wild. You're just like, show me a racist guy. It's right there. He's just right. He's spitting up his own blood and catching it. Yeah, he's great. Let's see. And I like that overall in the movie, and this is another example of it, that I think there's a majority of folks, Tori, David Allen Grier, William Lamont Bentley, rather, all of different people who are known for like comedy, who have done a lot of comedy stuff. Let's see.
You really get that. This is definitely, like, more often than not, I see Tales from the Hood described as like horror comedy more than anything else. And it's, I think it's like one of the sort of, I think before Get Out, there was a tendency to equate all black horror with horror comedy. And I think that's just because, like, when you're dealing with these kinds of subject matters, like going back to what I said before, when you're dealing with this kind of subject matter, it's really, really heavy and it's really, really dark, and the history is really heavy and really dark. And so the comedic timing becomes really important to like softening the edges.
That's easy. Let's see. The transport was off to me from him getting to the prison to the. I was like, what is happening? I was like, why don't you have clothes on? It's like they say, yeah, you now. And literally, when Rosalind Cash, this is her last role, aside from a television, like posthumous sort of thing. But this was the last thing she was doing. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So what was the thing? I was just like, yeah, we got this dark and spooky, mysterious layer. But I was like, can my man get like the prison oranges or whatever he wears? He was just doing crunches. And, Dr. Cushing's like, yeah, him. Bring him. And I was just like, what? I was like, we're not, nothing. All right, cool. But I think they did one editing thing that I didn't like. It was very crotch forward, which I was like, yo, your balls. Can we like shift away a little bit? A little envious.
See, again, I think that was intentional. I think that it was like very, throwing back to this, like all this weird psychosexual stuff and the like fixation on black men's bodies. Yeah. Everyone's like, black women experience this in their own ways too. But is like definitely just in the details evoking all of that history.
let's see. Last thing I'll say about it is, I just, definitely you touched on it earlier, sort of this, and I think I echo one of the things I was saying earlier as well, the sort of Cali gang violence thing, as far as like movies from late 80s into like the mid 90s, as far as what I was watching, and you get all of them. You get the Boys in the Hood, you get the, I consider this as part of that. You get the Menace to Society, you get all of these sort of different things. I was just like, yo, California is just gangs. And, and being there a couple of times, I was like, it's not just that. It's not that. It's In-N-Out Burger. It's great. But being able to kind of see that reflected there, that was kind of speaking to the time and to sort of the, just what was happening in terms of like sort of media and what was being presented. And it kind of echoed that. And I think in a subtle sense, maybe trying to shift away from it of like, hey, this is all wild. We should really be considering this and owning this.
Totally. It's like, these are cautionary tales. And I think that they are cautionary tales crafted for Black men in the aftermath of Rodney King and like the immediate aftermath. And so, yeah, I think that that's what this entire film is really boiling down to, and that like coming into the end of it and the reveal at the end and Clarence Williams, like his closing scene.
Hold on. Let's hold on.
We'll hold on it.
I'm going to go into it.
But yeah, this like we live in a world where this exists, these horrors exist, but we still can decide how we respond to them and make choices for ourselves. We're still sovereign human beings to the extent that we're sovereign human beings. And how much sovereignty we have over ourselves changes, over time based on, the whims of power. But in this moment, we're sovereign human beings and we can make decisions about how we respond in critical moments in our lives. And that's where we're really seeing Crazy K, Jerome Crazy K in this moment, where he's in this like critical moment in his life where he needs to choose differently, and he chooses to do the same thing.
It's like a thing that I say with my partner all the time. We watch The Bear, and we like this one scene. It's like you got some people who have to just throw the fork, and it's just like you're a fork thrower. You're not going to not. It's like you're going to up that thing, and somebody's got to get shot. Where it's just like, hey, maybe do a little bit further investigation. Nah, you was tripping on the set, homie. What? Huh?
It's like maybe just clutch it really tight.
Oh, I'm going to bend this. So let's see. So I want to go into the last part as we get to the grand finale, if you will. Welcome to my mortuary. Following the telling of Crazy K's story, Stack, Ball, and Bulldog, again, wild names, are revealed to be Crazy K's killers. In a heated turn of events, the drug dealers become hostile to Mr. Sims. And they are unnerved by the revelation that he knows of that crime. They're like, yo, this old man knows. There is a scene in this where he gets pistol whipped. And he says, what? And I laugh so hard because Clarence Williams III is a great sweater. And
oh my gosh. He was maybe the best of the biz.
He was getting across hell because as we were going, I was like, my man is going to melt. And he just goes off the whole time. I was just like, everything that you're doing is amazing. He's taking them there. They think that he's stalled. They think that Mr. Sims is stalling. He's going to show them where the aforementioned shit is at. And of course, he has it in the mortuary. He has it in the bottom. It's in the coffins.
You got the money?
Yeah, we got the money, old man. You get it when we get the shit.
The shit? The shit? Yeah. Follow me. Woo! We gonna get the shit now. Oh yeah, the doo-doo.
Sick of following his ass.
The poopity-pop.
And he just is going off. It's like, you're thinking like, all right, he's at a 10 right now. Okay, now there's a 15 he can get to. Oh, shit, he's hitting 20. And he's sweating, he's levitating almost. And then it gets to the point where the reveal is there. It's like, these coffins, they ain't got drugs in there. They got y'all in there, y'all bodies. And
you're the shit.
It's complimentary, if anything. So, you know, can you recall the line that he says? And then when he says, "This ain't no funeral home," do you remember the full?
Yes! Ain't no funeral home. It ain't the Terradome neither. Welcome to hell.
Oh my God. It's not the Terradome either.
This ain't no funeral home. And this ain't the Terradome neither. Yes. It is so unhinged. I was like, was that ad-libbed? Because that has nothing to do with anything we just watched.
You know, I hope that it was. I really, really, really do. I really do. Because it would just make him even more brilliant. He is fucking flawless in the scene. Just, I mean, sweating bullets. You get just Hades. He is Hades. It's incredible.
When he turns red and his eyes are red, and then through his gap, the snake tooth, the forked tongue comes out. I was like, it's like Frederick Douglass is sending us to hell, where as soon as we enter hell, the only choice we have once we're in hell and on fire is to Harlem Shake, because that is what everyone is doing. It's just a lot of this. And I was just like, thank you. This is great. Credits, you know. I mean, it's just like he sends them to hell. They go to hell.
Well, I think there's like oh my God, I love the ending. I love the ending both in because it's just like masterful in terms of like genre convention. It's like pure pulpy horror shit, you know? It's like, oh God, just shoot it directly into my veins. I love it. But it's also like the thesis of the whole thing. It's like, if you refuse to choose different, and if you refuse to be accountable, and if you continue to act in this way and make these choices, then what you're creating is hell on earth.
Yes. Yes.
So when he says welcome to hell, it's like, this is the hell that you've made.
Yeah.
And that we're all kind of culpable in. And it brings up Toni Morrison's Nobel lecture for me, because she does a reading of the Tower of Babel story in it, and her sort of interpretation is a critique on the like the sort of widespread interpretation of the Babel story, where it's kind of like, well, if there was one common language that everybody spoke, then they could have expedited the building of the tower and everything would have been fine. But I think that and what Morrison is positing in this lecture is that there's another interpretation where they could have taken the time to understand each other and then created heaven on earth. And that understanding and the bridging of those differences is how we create heaven instead of, but that it comes down to us. It's about sovereignty. Yeah. And I think that's really, I think that's kind of like the place. That's the big warning. That's the big like cautionary message, is like to love each other.
Yeah. I mean, probably, I think the first time I saw this movie, I was probably 13. So.
Oh man, yeah, no, I was an adult.
Oh no, yeah, I exposed to things, but it's sort of this thing where even then at 13, kind of getting like, no, y'all didn't learn a lesson, none of y'all, and even getting that as a kid, and you know, definitely maybe lapsed Catholic sort of energy. Grimstone, that happening. So. I got a few questions, and I want to get any questions from you, and we'll cover a few favorite scenes, maybe one or two favorite scenes, and then we'll wrap up. So let's see. I got to ask this one since we just covered it. When you first watched it, like, or one of your early watches, when did you realize the twist? Like, Yeah.
I think at the in between after the third tale.
Okay.
Yeah, it like the second the fourth that's really part of the frame
Yeah.
started, I was like, "Oh, it's them.
Yeah.
They're dead."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one of the things that when I used to have this bit where when people ask me, so what are you afraid of? I was like, failure. But really, it's probably something like that. Things are not what they seem. Nope.
Uh-huh.
It's just like if somehow I was in like Invasion of the Body Snatchers of Rosemary's Baby or something. Nope. This ain't quite what it is. Everyone's in on it. This ain't what it is for me. Yeah.
I used to watch Rosemary's Baby as a comfort movie. It's like sometimes the reminder is beneficial. Keeps you on your toes.
Let's see. What is your favorite story of the four, or including the wraparound?
I really love the second one, but this go around, I was really appreciating the dolls. And I love the conclusion. I think that the fourth one is the most sincerely scary.
Yeah. That's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that as well. Let's see. Which story? Because they're all kind of short. You touched on tight, right? And what of the four, or even the sort of framing, and I know that they did the sequels that that's good. Which one had the potential to go a bit deeper, which had the potential to go a bit deeper of like, we could blow this out into maybe 30 minutes or what have you. They're probably each about 12 to 15 minutes or so each. But if we could blow that out, probably closer to 20 minutes really. But if we could blow that out to maybe a half an hour segment, or even turn this into a series, do you think that there's a possibility for sort of this form of storytelling to become a series, the speaking this language, or one of the stories within it to be blown out a bit further?
I think the third and fourth probably have the most space to grow. I think if you expanded the first one, you would mostly just get Candyman. It like a variation, but like in its bones. Even some of like the imagery when they tear at Morehouse and like his like sternum comes open. That's also like a Candyman image.
It's just Nia DaCosta's Candyman. It's just like, yeah, we just did that. We did that in 2023. It's fun.
But even the original one, that's still the bees in there. I think in the bathroom scene in the original one, I think is that's just canonical Candyman. But yeah, and then I think the second one is kind of perfect as it is, and yeah, I think that the third and fourth have the most space, because it's a community story. So like, well, both of them are community stories. So I think you can flesh that out more so.
And I think in each one of them, with the exception of the third story, all of them feel like they're in, or they don't say it specifically, but they all feel like they're, in Cali, maybe, Seattle, I guess, but they feel like they're West Coast, whereas the one in the South obviously is in the South, but none feel like they're in the East Coast or what have you. And I think definitely that third one has those sort of legs that if you wanted to like blow this out, you could, in this sort of Southern Gothic with these sensibilities. I think with the last one, we could, but I think that is one of those sort of 6 parts and we're good versus, sort of
like a complete series.
Yeah. Because you got to start thinking of things in those ways. Because it's like, I need more of this sort of storytelling, but in black hands. Totally. And let's see. I think that's, well, I'll throw this last one out there for you. Where does this rank for you in terms of sort of horror anthologies?
Oh.
I like horror anthologies like a lot.
Mhm.
It's the variety pack. I mean, no one's eating the plain oatmeal. We're all eating. What's your favorite flavor of oatmeal? Come on, tell me. What is it?
Cinnamon sugar.
Basic.
Oh no.
Okay.
It's okay. I could take being basic about oatmeal. Wait, what's yours? What's the non-basic option?
It's brown sugar. It's basic as well. I like the apple. I definitely mix that with the apple cinnamon. Those combinations.
Okay. Oh, we're doing chemistry. We're mixing them up.
For sure. What do you think these beakers are for? I think anthologies tend to be that variety pack, and I look for that. I mean, coming from Tales from the Crypt, coming from Creepshow, whether it be the series or even the films, and like the last one, but the films, it's just like, okay, different stories, these short stories that are kind of built up, and I dig it. So for you,
yeah, totally. Yeah, Tales from the Hood, I think, is a perfect anthology. It is, which is not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of like incredibly sloppy ones out there. I think calling it a variety pack that's what it is. That's what it is. But what it all comes down to is the frame story, is the wraparound, and how you use that structure. It's a form. So like any other form, you can resist it, which usually results in sloppy, messy work, or you could just like throw it together, which again, sloppy, messy work, or you have to find a way to like incorporate it and make it part. You have to thread it. You have to thread all the stories, all the segments together. And I think that Tales from the Hood does that with incredible precision. And like, I feel like you can tell that they spent time with the script. It's either that they spent a lot of time with the script, or they spit that thing out in like one weekend with like fucking crazy clarity behind it. One or the other.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's perfectly chiseled. And the way that the frame story ties into and ties everything else together is just like perfectly done. I think it's like in terms of anthologies, definitely at the top. And I like them too. It's definitely like a mood. Like I watched some like old Vincent Price, Vincent Price thing. Was it Tales of Terror? It might have just been like that kind of basic name, Tales of Terror. Yeah. That was just like retellings of Poe stories, but it was like one of the ones where it's just like these segments next to each other. There's no wraparound, there's no frame. Yeah. And I don't know. I grew up obsessed with the Crypt Keeper. I like to be ushered through.
Guide me. Oh, we're going to hell. Fine. I'm there. As long as you do a good job dosing.
As long as you sweat everywhere.
So I got to ask before we close out and do the socials and all of that good stuff. Mm-hmm. Just if you will, and I'll have this in post. What is your favorite scene? If there was one scene, you're sharing this with someone, you're trying to get them to watch it, and you know how it goes. I don't watch scary movies. It's like, well, it's really a horror comedy. Wink, wink, hint, hint. But what would be the scene that you would you try to get this movie over with someone? I'm going to have the trailer in this because I think the trailer is good. But what would be the scene that you're saying, look, you got to watch this for this scene. Tell me what you think.
Damn, I think because my favorite scene is like the last scene, but you can't, lead with that.
Out of context, Clarence.
Out of context, Clarence Thomas just like fucking sweating and looking manic. I just love his face so much. Maybe the Walter scene with the monster shadow, and then David Grier's just like hands in the shot. So like he's human, or maybe the dolls, or the Morehouse painting, that like confrontation between Clarence and Morehouse in front of the mural in the first one. Maybe that's it.
That's probably the one, because you have the cop in the background. That's a painting because he's OD'd. He's been needled.
Yeah.
They've taken its essence and turned it into a great rendering in an alley. I think it's one of those. But the temptation, you're absolutely right. I mean, if it's a R trailer, or if it's an R clip, I'm just gonna say what I said in the intro. You're gonna be knee deep in the shit. It's like, what movie is this? You'll see.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just when like everyone's sort of like congregating in front, like the opening scenes, like the prologue of it is just, it's so, it's got that like amazing kind of like 90s horror energy where like the colors are really vibrant and you can like smell the winds as it's blowing, and it looks like fall feels.
Yeah.
Which is not something that everything manages to evoke on screen, right? I think that it's like something that's missing from a lot of stuff that's like coming out right now, is like, 98% of this was filmed in front of a green screen and it doesn't evoke anything. This evokes things.
Yeah, and I think, in going back and, sort of a deeper conversation that we could probably have at another time about sort of owning media. That's a thing. You want to you want to feel something. So that's kind of it. I want to give you the space in these final moments to tell folks, if they're curious about any of your musings, any of your thoughts, your insights. You were great on hair. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let folks know where they can check you out, your writings, any of the stuff that you're doing, anything that you got going on, the socials, all of that stuff. Just cascade it like it's against a wall and there are needles going at a corrupt cop.
Crucifixion. You can find me on Instagram at Arachlea. It's ARACHLEAA. Because it's not one that just rolls off the tongue. But mostly you can find me at Fangoria. I have a book chapter coming out, but unfortunately it's not going to be available for sale in the US thanks to the tariffs. So we can thank Dear Leader for that. But if you happen to be in the UK, check out Darkest Margins. It's a collection of essays on horror and the Gothic and liminal spaces, and the other essays in it are fucking brilliant. Not just mine. Trying to think where else. I think that might just be it for now. I'm gonna be more like social next year. I'm finishing a big project. This year, and then I'll be more front facing in the future once this is done.
That means
after I get through this mental breakdown that I've given myself.
That means we'll have to have you back on the other podcast, The Truth in This Art. Have to be on the real one.
Yes. Yeah, I will be back.
So again, thank you, so much for spending some time and just providing sort of your insight and your background. This is, you classed up the place. So thank you so much. So for Lea Anderson, I'm Rob Lee, and this has been Let's Watch It Again. Keep watching those movies, folks.
When they rush, built like construction crews, busting crews and tools, force dudes to blast out your fucking shoes. A shot swat with the bombs I drop. Plan A to terrorize, you can't stop the plot. Execution of an amateur. Who dares to
Thank you for listening to The Truth in This Art. This podcast is executive produced by Rob Lee and hosted by Rob Lee. This podcast is produced by Daniel Alexis. Original music provided by Daniel Alexis. Additional music provided by Chipzard and Tay Trace. This podcast is edited by Daniel Alexis, and show notes are provided by Rob Lee and Transistor Media. This podcast is a podcast under Contrarian Aquarian Media Productions. Photos provided by Vicente Martin and guest photos provided by the guest unless otherwise noted and credited. Lastly, this podcast is supported in part by Fractured Atlas. If you want to support this podcast, head on over in the show notes to fracturedatlas.org. Be sure to follow The Truth in This Art wherever you get your podcasts and on social at Blue Sky, Instagram, and hit up our shop on Redbubble. There are some t-shirts on there from The Truth in This Art. So that's that. Thanks again for listening.